This episode of Voices of the Elephant is brought to you by Nomad PHP. Start a habit of continuous learning. Visit nomadphp.com and subscribe today. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Voices of the Elephant. We're here in St. Louis, Missouri at PHP Tek 2016, and my special guest is Brian Retterer. Say hi to everybody, Brian.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Did I get your name right?
You did.
Retterer?
You did.
Okay,
Retterer.
just making sure. I'm getting bad in my old age. I'm actually getting the names right, and it's a lot less funny when I do. So, Brian, you work with Stormpath, and we're going to talk about Stormpath in a little bit. But one of the things, or what Stormpath does, is very important. It does user authentication. Let's talk about user authentication in general right now, because right now, as we're doing this, I've got an email sitting on my laptop from LinkedIn telling me to change my password, because even though there wasn't a recent hack, 2 years ago there was a hack and they're still selling off information. This user authentication seems to be not only important, but difficult for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a very difficult thing. It's user authentication is everywhere in our day-to-day life. We use it on our email, on Facebook, all the social media, everywhere. Mm-hmm. Even without, logging into a site, we still have some user authentication in the physical world too, and it's such an important thing to make sure our data remains private.
Yeah.
And people do roll out their own authentication, but it's extremely difficult to get right.
Yeah.
There's so many ways that it can get taken from the companies that do it.
Well, rolling out your own authentication is kind of like rolling your own cryptography.
It is.
If ROT 13 is good, ROT 26 must be better. But no, it's rolling out your own cryptography is a bad idea. And the same with user authentication. You stick with the known patterns and the known ways of doing it. And PHP has password hashing built in now.
It's password hash function. You can use all sorts of different kind of encryption methods with that. bcrypt is one of the big ones. And
MD5? No, I'm not kidding.
Yeah, MD5. It's a no.
Go for it.
Yeah, go for it, and let me know what your website is.
Yeah. Well, you work with a company that does that, and let's talk about that in a little bit. But first, let me talk about Nomad PHP, our sponsor. Nomad PHP is the PHP user group without borders. If you are a PHP developer and do not have a local PHP user group, we would love to have you join Nomad PHP. You can get all the details at nomadphp.com, and I would love to see you at our next meeting.
I have to say, I used Nomad. I watched it and I loved it.
Thank you. We really appreciate you being a part of it. Okay, Stormpath, which is the company that you work for, and you have a solution for user authentication. Tell us about it.
We do. I'm the PHP developer evangelist for Stormpath. I've been with them for about a year now. And we do user authentication via an API. So we take that pain point from you as a developer of rolling out your own authentication methods, own workflows, own user flows, that type of stuff, the login registration, and take that into the API. So it's a subservice where you don't actually store your own user database. Any of your user credentials, any extra metadata about them, we keep it all in our system for you, and then you reach out to us via an API call to do the login authentication.
Okay, now I'm just going to be quite blunt.
Yeah.
Why the hell should I trust you? I don't know you well enough to hand over my entire user base to you. What does Stormpath bring to the table that's going to make me want to do this?
Yeah, so we have a great team behind it where it's all we do. We focus on it and we keep up to date with every little minute detail and all the different ways of doing the authentication. We keep it as secure as possible that we can. And we with encryption of your own API keys, we don't actually utilize your data in any way. It's still your data. We just have the secure storage for you.
Now that's an important point. Samantha Quinones in her wonderful keynote this morning was talking about her Fitbit, and was talking about the fact that she generates an awful lot of data, but whose data is it?
Right.
Is it Fitbit's? Is it hers? So you're actually saying that Stormpath does not claim ownership to the data. It is still my data.
Yeah.
You just host it for me and you keep it safe,
Yeah.
and I hand you the credentials the user gives, and you give me back either a valid user or an error message.
Correct, yeah. And we have no interest in wanting the data that you store in our system.
I'm not worried about you wanting it. I'm worried about you selling it to Chase
Right.
or MasterCard or somebody,
Yeah.
because they want that
Yeah,
data.
and that'll never happen, so.
Well, I guess the obvious thing is this means that if my server gets hacked, personal information is not there because you're storing it all.
Correct.
What kind of, no, I don't want to say what kind because I don't want to give away the story, but do y'all go to extraordinary measures to keep this safe, or are you doing the same thing I am, which is I've got a firewall set up and praying for the best?
No, it's much more than that, and can't really go into much detail about
Right.
it, but we can tell you that your data is very, very secure and safe in our system.
Okay, so the reason I would want to trust you is you're putting more effort into keeping my data safe than I probably am going to do.
Right, and when you're developing an application, you're developing it, and you have so many different areas that you have to learn yourself and maintain yourself. Where if you use these little microservices and other services that do this information for you, those companies are specifically just doing that one piece, and they're focused on that one piece of your application.
You're doing very well.
Yeah.
Now, do you offer any kind of single sign-on? Like if I set up an account and I start using sites that use your Stormpath, are they all joined together, or can I, as a user, say I want to join these all together, or is everything segmented?
So it's segmented in a way where if you have multiple applications inside of Stormpath under your umbrella, you can do single sign-on between them.
Okay.
Now it's going to be different if we both have a single application. We can't share the data between us to do single sign-on, but we also support some of the social login providers.
Oh.
So you can do pseudo logging in that way. I mean, it's not going to be great single sign-on type capabilities, but it's at least one username that you can sign on with multiple applications.
Now, you said something that was interesting to me. You said you indicated that I, as a user of Stormpath, have or an application that uses Stormpath, I can have a console at Stormpath where I can see everything?
Yes, we have a full UI dashboard where you can actually run everything, all the user management and maintenance of those users from, instead of having to develop all that yourself.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay. Well, I want to thank you for taking the time. I know I took you away from your booth, and I appreciate you coming up here to talk with us. Before I let you go, same two questions to ask everybody. What's your local user group? What's the URL?
Yeah, we just started our local user group for PHP, which is Dayton PHP in Dayton, Ohio, and URL is DaytonPHP.com.
Very cool. Well, thank you for taking the time to be with us here on Voices of the Elephant, and thank you for everything that you're doing for the PHP community. And thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next episode. Thanks for listening to Voices of the Elephant. Voices of the Elephant is copyright EICC Incorporated and released under a Creative Commons Attribution, No Derivatives, Share and Share Alike license. To nominate someone to be a guest on Voices of the Elephant, visit our website and click on the Nominate link. The URL is voicesoftheelephant.com. Elephant is, of course, spelled ELEPHPANT. Thanks for listening to Voices of the Elephant. Voices of the Elephant is copyright EICC Incorporated and released under a Creative Commons Attribution, No Derivatives, Share and Share Alike license. To nominate someone to be a guest on Voices of the Elephant, visit our website and click on the Nominate link. The URL is voicesoftheelephant.com. Elephant is, of course, spelled ELEPHPANT.